want to admit they're struggling with, whether it's losing connection with your spouse, wondering why you feel like a stranger in your own life, or wrestling with keeping your word when no one's watching. Each week, we dive in with expert guests and real conversations so you can start showing up better in your marriage, living out your purpose with confidence, and becoming the man you know you're meant to be. If you're ready to quit coasting through life and start making real changes, then be sure to like or subscribe to this podcast and then join our private Men Becoming Better Men Facebook community with the link that's in the show notes. So let's get today's guest has 22 years of recovery from alcohol and drug addiction. He's an advanced registered nurse practitioner who is also coaching. He has 6 years of experience working with substance abuse treatments and helps men riddled with self-hate, worry, and insecurity transform self-destructive patterns so they can experience love, respect, and joy. His mission is to provide men with a new structured process and a safe place where they can be vulnerable. Man, there are so many men that need that. Oh, I can't wait to get into them. So what I want to demonstrate first is how we're going to get you there. If you were one of those men that is struggling in any way, shape, I want to show you how to get from rock bottom to how you can get yourself back on track today. So we're going to demonstrate that a little bit by using Patrick kind of a pig here for a minute. And I'm going to ask him a couple of challenging questions. And what I want you to see is that no matter life, and I'm guessing Patrick couldn't get into it at some point here because he talked about it in his notes that he sent me. But at some point, and I know I did for myself, I hit rock bottom about 10 to 12 years ago, or in that window. And what rock bottom, and if you're open to it and be able to resurrect yourself. So I can't wait to get into questions. So Patrick, let's kick it off with tell me what your purpose is in life.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. First off, appreciate you having me on, obviously. Thanks again for agreeing to do this. So my purpose in life that I've come to figure out, which for the last 22 years, I thought it was to help other people like myself who struggle with drug and alcohol addiction be, more or less saved from that, recover from that, and shown that they can do better, they can have better, they don't have to feel so alone and trapped all the time, and that there's a better way to live. And what's transpired for me over the last 18 months through doing my own experience with working with a coach for the first time 18 months ago, and I've been working with her for the last 18 months, is now it's kind of opened up my eyes to, man, I can help so many other people that have all kinds of issues, just like you read about. That's not just drug or alcohol related, because like you said, I mean, we all have self-destructive tendencies and behaviors that we have. A lot of us have addiction to control, so it may not be addiction to drugs or alcohol, right? Like addictions to so many things, but it may not even be about addictions. It may just be about like helping somebody get out of feeling stuck. So what happened was I hit another bottom about 18 months ago, an emotional spiritual bottom. And I met this coach, and we go into that later at some point, but basically she said, I can help you. And for whatever reason, I believed her, and I was at that point where I was ready to hear it. And so I committed myself to the process, and I've gone through the process, and I thought, man, there's a lot of dudes out there like myself that, from the outside looking in, you would think I have it together, Bob, like we were chatting before. Like I live down here in Jupiter in South Florida. I live near the beach. I have a beautiful girlfriend. I make good money. I have a great career. I have all these hobbies. I'm very, very healthy and fit. And you'd be like, how could you possibly not love yourself? You're 41 years old. You haven't had a drug or an alcohol drop of alcohol in 22 years. How could you have any disdain for yourself? Why would you possibly be self-critical? Like what do you mean you can't receive compliments from people? So like that was kind of the crux of what was going on. That was like, and I didn't even realize it, Bob, until I went to this event, and I went, holy crap, I don't love myself. I think I do. I thought I did. My actions would say I did, but really maybe I was just overachieving and getting all these accolades to make up for my insecurities still, just like I was doing with drugs and alcohol many years ago. So that's kind of what got me to, being in front of you today to be
Yeah,
talking
that's
about this.
awesome, man. I love hearing that kind of story and that waking up to, and that's exactly what happened to me when I hit my rock bottom. It was the basically the first thing that happened, and where our stories are very similar. Found that guide, and when the this phrase I hear all the time: "The student is ready, the teacher appears," and that's exactly what happened in my case. I
Yeah,
was at
exactly.
that bottom of the barrel. I had started a new job and it wasn't going. I was just ended. I was like, I don't know what to do in this anymore, but I don't know what I want to do. And found an advertisement for a coach and engaged. One of the very first things we did was this purpose exercise that I like to do with people. And it helped me to realize that I wasn't meant to be doing what I was doing. I've been working in the corporate world for 30 years. And it showed me that there's more to life than just getting married, having kids, working a corporate job over and over, rinse and repeat every single day. There's more to life than that. So if you are listening and you haven't figured that out yet, it happens because it's happened for both of us. So uh, next question I have for you is
Yeah.
what challenges or obstacles did you or what obstacles and challenges did you have, or good Lord, I can't talk straight today. What challenges or obstacles have you faced in pursuing your purpose?
Um, so the challenges or obstacles I faced, because there's been so many, like everything, a lot of what you just said,
Okay.
I was married once, didn't have any kids, thankfully. So, I was in a marriage. The marriage wasn't going well. We were together for 10 years, married for 4. And I started to, things just kind of unraveled. I started to see a lot of things in myself, right? I started to see a lot of my tendencies and traits from my childhood with my parents that started kind of coming back out, right? They say if you want to know what your character defects are, go get into a relationship. You'll find out real quick. So like, the marriage was just not doing well. I was
Mm,
having rage episodes. I was, given the silent scorn. There wasn't a romance or surprises anymore. It was always a power struggle day after day between the two of us. And so that marriage finally ended. And then what happened was I was like, man, I don't want to repeat this. I don't want to have another relationship like that. And it's nothing against her. I don't speak ill of her whatsoever. She's a wonderful person. I just don't want to go through that again.
mhm,
Like we know the divorce rate is so high, and God forbid I had a child that was caught up in the middle of all that chaos. Like that would have been horrible. I would have felt terrible about that. So I wanted to make changes, and some of it started, funny enough, through talking to my dad, who had gotten divorced from my mom after 28 years. We talked, and he had turned me on to some book, and so I read the book, and it kind of like started kind of teaching me a little bit about masculinity and femininity and the
mm,
and the polarity with that. And so I was like, okay, so I'm going to start utilizing some of these tools as I get back into the dating world again after I, go through the process of grieving this divorce. And I met a wonderful girl, and we're together now 7 years later. And so what I've been doing is incorporating and doing things differently. And so we can go into that at some point, but it's been just wonderful. So the obstacles in saying all that, and the reason I'm bringing it up, it's
that's
a
okay.
really long answer, so I apologize. But the thing is that because of her own journey, she started following a lady, a coach, a podcast,
Mm,
and started doing all
mhm.
the things that a lot of us do to search and to grow and become, a better version of herself that she felt like she needed to do. And that's how I got introduced to the whole coaching thing in the first place. And like I said, the obstacles right now are, man, the social media thing is difficult. I don't like doing the social media, with coaching. I'm a people person. When people meet me in person, they find me very personable. I work as a nurse practitioner in detox facilities and substance abuse treatment facilities. And I get feedback from the patients all the time like, wow, you're so much different than the other doctors I've seen or the other practitioners or the other nurses. Like, you're really personable. And like, I just feel comfortable with you. I don't know if you've had this experience, Bob, as you've become, changing and become a better version of yourself too. Like just random people talk to me in the stores and in the parking lot, the grocery store. They just open up to me about stuff like standing in line. It's just I think I just put off this empathetic
Yeah.
energy or something. People just want to dump their stuff on me. So what happened is again, I don't I don't want to just help people with the drug and alcohol part. I don't want to just help people with medications and going over their lab results. I want to really get down to the nitty gritty and the core root cause of everything. And that's what I learned through my coaching experience with my coaches, like what my core wounds are and how those affect every facet of my life. So I can't help people as a practitioner if they're outside the state of Florida, right? I'm only licensed in the state of Florida. But as you know, being a coach, we
Yeah.
can help anybody who has
Yep.
internet access, right? So that's been really cool. So I've really enjoyed that aspect of it. But I'm kind of getting started out over the last couple months. I've got an online course that's a free masterclass about breaking through self-destructive patterns. I'm working on another one that I'm going to be done with this month about the 5 effective ways to communicate with the man in your life. So that's for anybody who's with a man or has a son or a husband, somebody that's struggling, how to help that guy,
Mm.
come to terms with like he would benefit from getting some help, because we don't want to nag that person and pressure them and force them into getting some help. So there's a lot of obstacles, and obviously the biggest one, as is within myself. It's my own upper limits, my own self-doubts, my the imposter syndrome. Am I really meant to do this? Am I really a fraud? So it's like all those things that I continue to show myself, no, I'm not all those things, because I continue to have success. I continue to have good feedback. I continue to be on people's podcasts like this and get good feedback, and be able to get my
Yeah.
message out all over the world instead of just
Yeah.
talking like within
Awesome.
my community.
So how do you
So
see your purpose evolving in the future?
I I see myself, especially going into some of these treatment facilities. I'm going to start holding some workshops in some of these treatment facilities, because again, they're not all just substance abuse. Some of them are more mental health related. And even though in my mission statement, which you read, like I do have a passion to want to help men, because I know that if a lot of men like me don't want to be vulnerable. It's not macho. It's not the manly thing to do, to open up. And your podcast is all about that, men becoming better men. But like I can still help women, or I can help women help their man, or I can help their women refer their man to me to get help. So like I want to do these workshops at these treatment facilities, and then base that, what we talk about, know, like, and trust, get these people to know, like, and trust me, so that when they get out, they'll contact me, and then we can do some work. And I could see big picture, doing group sessions, group workshops. And I really love one-on-one coaching. Just like I used to love one-on-one therapy, just like in recovery, I love one-on-one helping someone get sober. But I can see the efficiency in doing the group thing, group of 6 people, group of 8 people, and the group dynamics.
Yeah.
People can be a mirror for each other, and sometimes they trigger each other, which is a good thing, because then now we can work on that thing that you just triggered in that person that maybe I'm not going to trigger. And then you can kind of help
Yeah.
coach them through that whole process, and you can help 6 or 8 people
Yeah.
at a
I've got
time
I've,
instead of
I've
one
got
at a
a I've
time.
got a
So
group.
that's kind of
Yeah, I've got a group
big
going
picture
right
what
now,
I
and it's
see.
it's great to see how the men help each other and help and support each other. If one man's kind of getting kicked in the teeth on one particular issue, and we also have going in between, or if somebody is able to jump in before I get there to ask questions or dig into it, they're offering suggestions and advice and stuff like that as well. So the group coaching is also a very powerful tool.
And you can get lifelong friends. I just had a friend visit here from all the way from Southern California, who was in my original group. There was like 5 of us, and it ended up being 4 of us at the end of the 6 month program. And we're all like very best friends. Like we do this. We
Yeah.
travel across the country to hang out and meet each other's family. And she stayed here for about 3 or 4 days. Like we had a blast. And that never would have happened if I didn't agree to, put my pride aside and
Right.
go get some help, and have the belief and faith that, like, and the self-love that I didn't think I had, to say, no, I'm worth it. I'm going to
Yeah.
put myself first for once, and get
Yeah.
and get the
Awesome.
proper help that I
Awesome.
need.
Appreciate you sharing that. Um, so next question is,
Of course.
what are your biggest fears in life?
Um, I'm still struggling with, kind of having what you have, Bob. Like, do I want to have a family? Do I want to have children? I'm 41 years old. You think I would have I would have that conviction by now. And it's changed over the years. It's evolved. It's come and gone. And my girlfriend's kind of in the same boat. Not really sure. She's 35. Again, we've been together 7 years, and so she's being really patient with me, because of course she wants to be married, and I do too. But when you've done that once, you have a little
Yeah.
bit of that PTSD from it. And so I've been kind of dragging my feet. But we love each other very much, and it's the most wonderful relationship I've ever had, man. I mean, I've never
Yeah.
been loved somebody by somebody
Yeah.
the way
Probably
that she
probably
loves me.
probably best not to
It's
spoil
just
them.
great. So I can picture. Yeah, exactly. That's what a lot of people say, right? Especially if you've been married. So some of my fears are like, am I making the right decision if I don't have a child? am I making the right decision if I do have a child? Because this world is so crazy and stuff. But then I've had really good people I love and mentored me that say, well, maybe this world needs people, more good people in this world that you and your girlfriend would bring into this world to help make it better. I'm like, oh man, that's a great point. I never thought about that. So that's what happened. Like, good people in your life is good for. I don't fear relapse like drinking and drugging. I mean, I'm not saying I'm over it, I'm cured. I mean, it could happen next month, but it's just not something that's an option today. Um, so as far as like the biggest fears, you know, there's so many, but I've overcome so many
Hmm.
just by doing things, by doing a lot of hard things. I continue to show myself that all these things I do, that my brain, that old brain part of me that says that's going to kill you, you're going to die, people are going to laugh at you, that's stupid. I continue to have a track record of like those things working out really, really well. And I can show myself, okay, that didn't kill you. You can do something else like that again, or you can do that same thing again. Um, I used to fear death. I've come close to that in life now. And I've my belief in like what I believe in as my higher power and the spirit of the universe and source energy has been changing and evolving. So that's become a lot less. Am I maybe more inclined to think about reincarnation? So like a lot of that has been really helpful. So there's just so many things that I used to be so terrified, man. Just walking around, just terrified, looking down at the ground. I used to memorize the cracks in the
Wow.
sidewalks when I would walk around the neighborhoods because I always had my head down as a kid, as a child, walking the streets in Pembroke Pines, Florida, because I couldn't look the world in the eye, and it's not
Wow.
that way anymore.
Yeah. Interesting. So aside from that, the child and family thing, what's your biggest challenge in life right now?
Probably myself. Myself, like I said, self doubt. Am I supposed to be doing this coaching thing? Should I just shut up and go back to, just being a nurse practitioner, which again is very admirable and a fantastic profession where I get to help people and make a great living day after day after day. So like that's a great thing. So I think the biggest challenge is definitely myself. Some of it's technology, right? Like we talked about with the computers and the podcasting and social media and doing my own online classes and editing those like you were talking about. I would consider having my own podcast in the future and hearing people like you and other people who do the editing. I know that's not a fun thing to do. So I mean, overall, arch and theme is the biggest challenge is myself.
Yeah.
And so thankfully I have so many people that just, sometimes nudge me along, sometimes pull me, gentle nudge. Sometimes I need a really hard kick in the butt to do something. And it
How,
always
lo-
works
how
out
long have
great.
you
It
how long
always
have
does.
you
I
been
have
on
this
this
long
path?
track record of,
Sorry, we were kind of breaking
well, I've
up
been,
there.
I've been doing the coaching thing for the last 18 months. Yeah. How long have I been doing this path?
How long have you been on the path? Like when did you? How long ago did you realize the self love was important and all that kind of revelation? How long has it been?
Yeah. So that was about 18 months. Well, actually, maybe no, 2 years ago now. It was October of 2022. I went to this live event in Redondo Beach in Southern California, held by a podcaster such as yourself, who's a host. She's had a JJ Flazane. She's had a podcast for like 10 years, has books, and it's a lady my
Okay.
girlfriend had been following, and she said, "Hey, I'm going to this event in California. I really want to go, but I'm a really big introvert. I'm kind of afraid. Would you come with me and support me?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, babe! Of course I'll go." And being sober for quite a while, I'm like open minded. Like, cool, maybe I'll get some self help type stuff, right? And I went there, and that's when I had that revelation in this group of people in front of 40 people. I didn't know any of them except for my girlfriend Caitlin. And at the end of the whole event on a Sunday, we passed the microphone around to talk about what did we experience during that weekend, like what breakthroughs or maybe challenges things look moving forward. And I was looking over at my girlfriend Caitlin. She was sitting next to me, and I looked over at her and I just said, "I want to love me like you love me. I want to look at
Mm.
me the way that you look at me. Like nobody has ever looked at me before the way that you look at me." And I just busted out and just started crying in front of, again, a room full of people. And I had that breakthrough, and that's when JJ at the end of it said, this needs to not end like this. Like, you don't need to be here, have this breakthrough, and then go home back to your
Right.
life. Like, you need to do something more, whether it's with me or somebody else. She said, I can help you. And again, man, I just genuinely knew she meant it. And I felt it from her. And it just
Wow.
catapulted. I mean, I got to dig into deep into, again, a lot of the core stuff, a lot of the childhood traumas, things that are going to continue to affect every facet of my life if I don't work on them. She has a saying, you got to feel it to heal it. So if I don't feel these feelings and traumas, I'm just going to keep masking them and numbing them, even though I don't do drugs and alcohol. Maybe I eat ice cream. Maybe I do adrenaline stuff because I like to do that kind of stuff. Like, maybe I
Yeah.
gamble. Maybe
Yeah. You're
I,
gonna find some outlet
whatever, right?
for it.
There's so many destructive things we can do. Distract the way that I feel,
Oh
right?
man, that's so awesome
So it's
that
been awesome,
you've
man. It's just been
found
so
a
good.
path, and it's only been a very short period of time. Like I said, I'm probably at almost 10 years into it. Um, and I wish I had found it sooner. That's one of my big regrets. I'm 55, so I found it at 45. So you beat me by 4 years, at least, or 5 years probably if you take the one off.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
probably
so
39 or something. Yeah.
you're ahead of the game, yeah, and what's cool and encouraging to see is that men generations coming behind me are getting this stuff faster than people in my generation. That's my guys that are my age are
Yeah.
the ones that are the toughest to crack. It's like, God, you have there's we're not dead yet. We're in our 50s, but we're not dead yet. We got a lot of
Yeah.
life to live. We have a lot to give and a lot to share with our wisdom of 40, 50 years with other people. And these guys are just there. I always picture it in my head, the hamster wheel. They're just running and running and running and running, and there's no end in sight. So,
Yeah. It's that old mentality of like, I work all the time. I'm putting food on the table. You should be happy about that. Never mind, there's no intimacy, there's no romance, there's no love at home. It's like, I'm providing, damn it, and you should be happy
yeah,
with that. It's that old mindset, and we're not
yeah,
supposed to cry. So, and I did, because again, I've been in recovery for 22 years. I've been around, self improvement, if you will, and self help, and I've
yeah,
done, the books and obviously the podcast and all that stuff. And I did therapy at a very young age. When I first got sober, I took antidepressants for a year and a half. Like, none of that fixed me, obviously. And it wasn't until I started, again, going back to doing hard things, difficult things, that I started to actually get some results. Because I can listen to, maybe a podcast like this. Somebody can listen to us,
no,
but it's not going to change their life unless they do
yes,
something. You have to take action to
amen.
change your brain.
Speaking of which, my next question: what steps are you taking to of your self doubt at this point? What are you working on?
Well, doing stuff like this, I've done a handful of podcast interviews over the last couple months. I have probably 6 or 7 more lined up right now. So like, that's helping. Scheduling workshops to do at the treatment center. So like, setting things up and having them scheduled is helpful, right? Because I have them on the calendar, I have them on the docket, they're ready to go. There's no backing out. I still do stuff like my appreciation journals. I still call people and tell them, things that I appreciate on a daily basis. I write out things like stuff that I'm looking forward to doing. And that could be stuff that, Bob, is maybe really coming up. Like, I'm looking forward to the concert I'm going to next week. I'm looking forward to going to see my family in Georgia next week for Halloween. Or it could be stuff like, I'm looking forward to having a successful business coaching career. I'm looking forward to going to Italy, which I don't have that planned yet. So like, stuff that I want to
Yeah,
manifest as well, real or hasn't happened yet. I write those things down, about 3 to 5 of them every day. So it gets me out of that in the morning. Cause I get, if I don't do anything like that, I get up in the morning, it's just work, go, go, go 100 miles an hour, and stress, stress, stress. And I have to temper that because I know how I can get, and that can set me off. I can become an intolerant person. I can become impatient. So I don't want to be that person anymore. So if I do some of these exercises on a regular basis, and sometimes they evolve and change and do, different exercises, as long as I'm doing something to slow down, like you said, the hamster wheel, if I slow that down in my brain, I can usually have a better day. I'm always going to have a better day. And if I'm not, I go, crap, I forgot to do such and
yeah.
such when I left this morning. And then I start, okay, it's never too late to restart your day, I was told. You can always
I
restart your
love
day. And it shows in my performance at work. It shows in my relationships with patients at work, with staff at work. It shows. It exudes. Like, how
Yeah.
could it not,
I,
right?
I love that. What do you want for yourself part? That's something that I haven't added in. I haven't had in my journaling for a while. I do gratefulness. I do abundance, and I should do what do I want for myself, because it's actually one of the things that my coach challenged me on a week or two ago was looking forward. You got your 3 month goals, 6 month goals, your 1 year goals, your five. And I told him flat out, I was like, my 1 year goal is so big that I can't even see around. It's like it's when you go hiking, you're looking at the mountain. You don't know what's on the other side of the mountain. And what I need to start at least challenging myself is just start giving myself permission to start thinking of what's on the other side of that mountain. What what could it be that that once I get there, what is
Yeah.
that I want to chase after? And just putting it out there, like you said, the manifestation of it. I'm gonna add that to my journal prompts starting tomorrow. All right, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. And again, sometimes
Yeah, for sure.
little small things too, right? Just little things that make me happy and
Yeah.
light me up. I'm gonna write those down.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for being so open and honest with me with what's going on in your world. Like I said, we do this to demonstrate no
Yeah,
matter
of
where
course.
you are in your journey, there's always more to do and embrace your purpose. Um, like Pat said, he's only been on so um, it proves you can come a very long way in a very short. Like even though my journey's been longer, it's probably been better than developing. Um, but point is, you feel stuck or you feel like there's nowhere to go or nowhere to turn. It's a false belief. So, this is kind of the point of the program. A couple minutes. Why don't you tell me what it is you do for people, and then any other insights you have on?
So, what do I do for people as far
Yeah,
as coaching, or as far as just day to
wherever
day
you want to
stuff,
wherever
or
you
in
want
my
to go.
work? Yeah. So what I like to do is when I meet with somebody, I like to, it might sound a little woo woo, right? But I like to get their horoscope information. I like to get their natal chart, because for me, it was really eye opening to see, that I'm an Aquarius, but also other factors like my moon sign and my north node, and like to see some of those things, and not as an astrologist, like in a prediction way, because I don't really care about that.
Hmm.
It's really more the personality. So like when you can see different parts of your horoscope, you can see, oh, that's what it is. Maybe I'm not ADHD. Maybe I just have a lot of air signs in my
Hmm.
horse in my chart, and that's why I'm so airy and flaky and going 100 miles an hour. And so what does that mean? That means somebody like me needs to focus more on being grounded. So I need to do more grounded meditations, more
Hmm.
things that are going to slow me down. Somebody that's maybe more grounded might need to do the opposite, right? And do things that are going to activate their headspace more. So people like me that are more in their head day to day need to really find a way to get that transition from the head to the body to the feelings, right? Because we start having feelings, we start thinking, and that stops the feelings. So there's a lot of practices
That's me.
involved with figuring that out. And you can also figure out. Right. Okay. Cool. So, and you can also figure out, with people's charts sometimes, are they more inclined to be like a team member? Are they more
Hmm.
likely to be a leader? Would they maybe be better working by themselves at home on the computer, like a job like that? So like where and because of what it says, maybe I'm blocking myself from being that person because I'm stuck in this with these blinders on. Well, this is what I've always done, so this is the way I'm going to do it, and maybe I'm keeping and blocking myself from being this other these other personality traits that I've been kind of like stuffing down and shoving down. So I like to kind of do the horoscope thing. It doesn't take super long, just to kind of, and a lot of times I'm going, well, this and this, does that make sense? Or what about this? And they go, well, yeah, actually a lot of people have said that about me before, so yeah, I think that does make sense. Because I
Right.
always say it's not like 100%, right? But you want to kind of hit and make sure that, is this kind of resonating with you? And then it's just kind of digging into, where are you right now? Like, why are we talking in the first place? You've hit some kind of bottom, or else you wouldn't be reaching out for help, or somebody didn't, uh, coerce you into reaching out for help, maybe, or is bugging you to reach out for help. Maybe you don't even want to, but obviously they're seeing something in you. So what is it that you think they're seeing? And then at the end of the day, what do you see when you look in the mirror? Like, how do you feel when you look at yourself in the mirror? Stripped down, naked, everything's gone, not what your profession is, not where you live, not who's in your life. Who are you? Who really are you? What's the truth about who you are? And maybe you don't know. Maybe you have no idea. So, like, my goal is to help figure that out. And again, incorporate a lot of the methods and modalities that I've been taught and that I've experienced. And you know how it is, Bob, you have to cater each person differently, right? You can't coach any two people the same, even if it's in a sport, right? You can't always train people the same way. So whether we're doing emotional coaching or fitness coaching or helping people in any kind of way, because like I said, some people need a lot of kicks in the butt. Some people need a nice little gentle nudge. Some people just need a hug. Some people just need somebody to hold the space and listen. Some people just need to hear you talk because maybe they don't like to talk a lot. They do better with listening and soaking it up. So that's kind of a lot of stuff I like to try to do when I first get with somebody. And then again, I'm blessed, man, because I help people every day. I've been doing this, working as a practitioner for 7 years. I worked as a nurse for about 8 or 9 years before that. So I'm very used to talking to people and coaching them through stuff. And, even though I'm not a therapist, haven't been a therapist, a lot of nurses and nurse practitioners, as you probably know, we do a lot of the same stuff, right? As far as being there to listen to people and maybe give some suggestions. So it kind of comes really easy and
That's
natural to
awesome.
me.
Yeah. I've never heard of that approach in coaching. Be very unique, at least for me, that you're using that methodology to kind of dig into what people, and then be able to serve them best way what works with them best. So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, I always
Yeah,
say, look, I'm not here to predict and say today's going to be such and such day. It's really like, let's look at
yeah,
it from the personality side because
yeah,
that can kind of make a big difference. And then better how somebody's going to how you need to approach that person and help that person as compared to
It's
somebody
it's
else.
funny because my next I think within a half I'm doing. Have you ever heard of Graham personality profile?
I have.
I actually
Yeah.
have. I'm going to be on a podcast with a person that's an expert in Enneagram to talk about Enneagram. So it's kind of related. It's weird.
Oh, cool.
So
What podcast is that?
don't remember.
That's okay.
Yeah,
You can
I'll
tell me
message
later.
it to you later. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
cool.
Send me a message. Okay.
So
I'd like to
lastly,
hear it.
you. How can they find you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm on Instagram at Patrick Casey Jr. My last name is Casey and then Jr. So Patrick Casey Jr. And I do have it's not a website, but it's a landing page. If you go to patrickcaseyjr.com, that's where you'll find my free 60-minute masterclass about the 3 steps to breaking through destructive patterns. And there you can find a little bit more about me. I go through the 3-step process. And then, at the end, I talk about, I'm available to do, 15, 20-minute introductory consultations, kind of see if it's a fit, see if I resonate with you. I offer some free resources on there, such as podcasts, books that have really been impactful for me, and a couple other things you can do, a couple methods you can do, like the Ho'oponopono
Hmm.
prayer, or like I said, the appreciation journal, like some of those kind of things. I offer some free resources, and like I said, hopefully at the end of this month I should have it done and edited. Will be my course, which is also going to be free, about the 5 effective ways to communicate with the man in your life. So I'm hoping to have that available so that, again, people can have that, you know, if you have somebody struggling, especially a man like you gave voice to about 10, 20 minutes ago, about especially men from an
Yeah,
older generation, right? Like, quit nagging me, quit leaving me alone. I'm putting food on the table. Like, isn't that enough? But it's like, if we can help them see that, you're not the man you once were, especially maybe when you first got married or before you got married, like you've gotten complacent, you've gotten just complacent really overall, and like maybe you're not living a healthy life. So I want to be able to help people,
yeah,
help people, right? To be
yeah,
able to like see that and then refer them to somebody like me or somebody like you, somebody where those men can find some help and you know
yeah,
live a better life, like have the belief like you had 10 plus years ago and like I had 2 years ago, which is like, I'm done, this is not enough, i'm
yeah.
I'm not satisfied, and I'm not
Yeah.
satisfied not being satisfied, right? Like you heard the
Yeah.
expression, sick and
Yeah.
tired of being sick and
Do
tired.
you work with people specifically with addiction in coaching? Yeah. Okay.
I do as well.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
But again, it doesn't have to be. Like I said, I want to cast a wider net, open it up to anybody, especially men. I mean, women as well. But again, like you have the passion,
Yeah.
we have the passion for helping men because it's a lot easier. Women are more statistically
Yeah.
more inclined to go seek help, right? Us men
Yeah.
we're less likely
I
to
can do it
go
on my
ask for
own.
help.
I got this.
Yeah. So the more of us there are, the more
Yeah.
opportunities random guys
Exactly.
are going to have to
All right,
seek help.
great. I will put all your contact info in the show notes. So if any of the listeners want to contact, they'll have that information. And we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks for listening, and Pat, thanks for joining me again. And it was a pleasure. Good to know you. And I'm sure we'll be in touch soon.
Yeah, again, thanks a lot, Bob. And I
All right,
definitely want to hear
cool.
that podcast you're going to
I'll
do.
definitely get you the info. Thanks. Take care.
Thanks.